Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
But you got the Lions. That's going to be a loss. You got the Indianapolis Colts, though. I see a win over the Colts. I see a win over the New York Giants. You're 7-8. Can they make a run? Can they sneak into the playoffs? Well, unfortunately, they got a game against the Green Bay Packers, and I have the Chicago Bears beating them in the season finale. Best case scenario, O'Connell is all that. The Vikings take the North. There is talent there. Worst case, they're just not as good as everybody seems to think. I know every year everybody acts like the Vikings are going to make a run. I don't see it. I got them for 7 wins.
Wow. Who was that? Adam Rank on NFL Network?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Okay. Hopefully, didn't he? I think he had him at 5-8 at one point there, going down the stretch. 2-3 in the first 5 games there, losing at Washington, which I actually have that too in my first scheduled prediction.
Because I ended up in our first prediction that we went through, did I have 8 or 9 wins?
You have him on 8.
8
and,
wins,
and then you tweeted that the Jaguars would win 9.
Yeah. Well, write that down.
Jaguars
write
Daily
that down.
coming up next. Between you two.
The national pundits, we know for certain, do not have a lot of faith in this team.
Yeah, national pundits, Vegas, national projections. So he had him at 7-10. It looked like with that record prediction. But so let's get into some of this. This is Purple Daily, Daily Vikings Entertainment, and when we say daily, just so it's clear, we don't mean 5 days a week. This is a 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year show, and it's been that way for several years now. We are the only show that literally talks Vikings every single day at this length, okay? Whether you love us or hate us, okay? You can at least come here for a Vikings fix and inject it into your veins every single day. So with that said, this is the Purple Daily Reads the Comments edition. We dive into your comments via the YouTube channel. Please click subscribe via the Score North app presented by our friends at TCL. Redefine creativity with the TCL 30V 5G smartphone. Enjoy blazing fast 5G speed, an AI-powered 50-megapixel triple camera system. That's right.
Football.
Ultra-realistic, true-to-life visuals powered by Next Vision and booming sound from dual speakers, TCL.com. All right, the first question here is from Matthew Hansen via the Score North app. What is the bar for the 2022 Vikings? We all know that the goal is Super Bowl, but what is the absolute worst the Vikings could do and leave you feeling positive about the season or maybe hopeful for next season? Wow. My bar is making the playoffs but losing wild card weekend in a close, well-fought game. That is the bar by which Matthew feels like, all right, I could live with that and then be optimistic going forward. What about for you guys?
The bar. All right, so the bar is affected, in my opinion, by a few things personally, including this one. What they have done from a roster construction standpoint sets the bar higher than I thought it should be, but they've elected to go in that direction. I actually think, so if we're going to talk about like what do I think that they should be expecting from themselves, because I clearly personally, as the negative Zolgad, am on 8 wins. But if you were to look at what I believe their expectation is, I think he put it perfectly. I think a playoff berth, because, I mean, when you look at this, they're going to go into training camp with almost no position battles, with basically returning starters, and then you've brought in a guy like Zadarius Smith, who, when healthy, is a good player. I think that note is very fair. A playoff berth, probably a loss, but in no way, shape, or form is this franchise positioning itself to like build off of 2022. Like they're looking to continue on and ascend. So yeah, I think he put it really well.
What you Dex?
Bar for me, honestly, and I don't want to say not making the playoffs should be the bar, but I just want to see this offense be in modern times. I want to see Kevin O'Connell step in and take this offense that has not even been in the top 10 really for points the last 2 seasons and make it a consistent, legitimate offense. There's going to be some growing pains. You know, we love to pick the schedule and we've flirted with 9 or 10 wins, but at the end of the day, this Vikings offense has too many great pieces and too many great additions for it not to be in a top 10 offense. And you now are embracing this with Kevin O'Connell, and we have different culture and all that buzzwords and stuff. But at the end of the day, I want to see this offense hum. Like, even if the Vikings are that 500 flirting with team, at least at the end of the day, if this offense is scoring points, that's going to be a blast to me. So I just want to see this offense. That should be the bar. Can the offense finally be a top 10 legitimate offense?
Yeah, that's definitely, I like that as a bar. I think the offense, listen, you got Kirk Cousins here. He's going to pull in over $200 million as Vikings quarterback. And they haven't had a top 10 offense with him, I don't think. Maybe once they snuck into like the bottom of the top 10, but they have not come close to producing at the level offensively as they should, with the personnel that they supposedly have. I think the bar should be have a winning record. So what would get me to feel like, all right, there's something to work with here going into year 2, 2023. Have a winning record, so at least 9 wins, make the playoffs, and don't get smoked in the first round. But I feel like that's such a low bar too. Like I really think the bar should be more like 10, 11 wins. The players that you have and the moves that you've made this offseason aren't so that you can win 8 or 9 games and sneak in. So that's a good point. I talk this out loud, it really should be double-digit wins, and it should be winning a playoff game. But I think it's also kind of a 2-year window here for what they're doing. Like, they signed Kirk for 2 ironclad years. So I want to handcuff 2022 and 2023 together and leave room for another step forward.
I do agree with that, though. And look, they picked the game here. Like they had, several opportunities to explore different paths, right? They picked the path, and yeah, I mean that's a great point. They have, in my opinion, and this is without like me saying this to be a jerk, they have probably applied more pressure on themselves than I think is wise. Because you're not wrong, Phil. Like clearly, and this goes back to a conversation that we've had a ton. The people that run this team and own this team really looked at this and said, our GM and especially our coach were not good. And we think that a new GM and especially a new coach with an offensive background can come in and make up for all of the missteps of the previous regime. And so that does apply more pressure when you bring everybody, including Kirk, on a contract extension back.
And I think what I'm curious to see here is, okay, if they were wrong, if ownership was kind of wrong, and actually, you know what? Yeah, Spielman and Zimmer needed to go, but Kirk was kind of a problem too. And these defensive players are kind of aging over here, and maybe the roster wasn't quite what you thought it was. Then how patient will they be with Kwesi and with Kevin O'Connell? Because then it'll require kind of a strip down if things don't go as well as they should. And I guess another question here would be, what would have to happen this year on the bottom end of the expectations for them to completely go into a reset in 2023? Like if they go 7, well, hell, the NFL Network guy had them going 7-10. If they go 7-10 and miss the playoffs, are they going to run it back again in 2023? Or are they going to start trading veteran players for draft picks and see if Kirk wants to waive a no-move clause, et cetera? We haven't done a whole lot of that discussion. We did our best-case scenario episode 2 weeks ago. We haven't done the worst-case scenario, but what's the bar for them to keep pushing forward like they have the last 2 losing seasons? I
got a question off of that point. And this might be an episode, but just quickly, I'll ask the question. Do you think that O'Connell, and look, I know he was an OC with the Rams. They won a Super Bowl, but it's not like he is the GM as well. But do you think there's going to be any Rams-type urgency, which is, I think, Phil, what you just alluded to, with trading draft picks, trying to go out and get guys to plug in? I mean, the Rams have literally mortgaged their future. They thoughts?
Well, they're in a competitive rebuild right now. The Vikings are, right. Okay, if they go 10-7, maybe they finish second in the division, and let's say they win a playoff game on the road in the first round.
Okay,
and the offense is 6th in the league, and there's some things here. This is the best season since 2019 or 2017. Are they willing to go from competitive rebuild to trading draft picks for established players to push themselves over the top with Kirk Cousins? There's a lot of so many interesting things on the horizon here the next 6 to 9 months or so.
Absolutely.
All right, Joe Chrisman via the Score North app. Big fan of the show. I think the Vikings will make a major leap this season. The reason is recognizing your team's strengths, not playing conservatively. Keep the game close, hoping to make a stop or big play, is what they used to do. Unleashing the offense and playing 3 safeties shows the best players will be used the right way. So some optimism from Joe. Jake Cashin via the YouTube comment section. This is probably more for Judd because he was out there at the minicamp media sessions. I'd love for you guys to address the fact that you roasted Kirk Cousins' answer about the change in offensive scheme a couple weeks ago, but Patrick Peterson answered the same question today, a couple days ago, the exact same way. Judd was there. I know he heard it. Did Patrick Peterson
about the offense?
I don't know.
When is he talking about when Pat? I mean, 'cause when Judd asked the question about Pat P and learning the Donatel defense, like he went into great detail. Like he wasn't poo-pooing like he was good in all football terms, single bracket, double bracket, dime package. Like
Kirk downplayed the significance of the offensive change. Like Kirk has downplayed the significance of the offensive change so far, which is weird. And maybe it's just his way of, I don't know, not wanting to talk to the media or something.
Sure.
Patrick Peterson has kind of gone the other way, I feel like.
Right, and he explained what he was talking about. I mean, if he's talking about my question to Kirk as juxtaposed to my question to Peterson, I was just like, we have read different things about what the stressors are on the cornerback position in the Zim defense and the Donatel one now. And Peterson was explaining the differences, but the fact that they're both high stress, which is what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
The Kirk thing was just like, nah, it really hasn't changed, which is weird because his teammates are all saying it's changed in a huge way.
Jesse Johnson via the Score North app says, we had a bunch of questions on this. We played some clips earlier in the week. Watch the Vikings YouTube video of Kirk Cousins mic'd up. Do you think it's for show because he's mic'd up, or do you think he actually is having fun? Looks like he's having a good time. What was your general takeaway from Kirk Cousins mic'd up at Vikings practice?
I think he has fun. Oh yeah, no. I think he has fun. That's not an act. Now is he a bit staged in life? Absolutely. Like I think his whole life is sort of staged. Like but he has fun at practice. Like he is, and he is goofy. Like I think he really talks about planes. Hey, there's another big plane, and
he talks about the weather and airplanes, and he's constantly
day.
commenting on the things that are sort of happening around, right?
And Phil, you said it perfectly. He is the progressive, you're turning into your dad guy.
Yes,
but that's him.
There's a little bit of a nerdy charm to him.
Yeah,
I think whether it's the mic'd ups or whether it's just observing him, and I've heard from some people behind the scenes too, just like me forming my opinion about his personality.
Sure.
It's not that people hate him or that he has an abrasive Baker Mayfield-like personality. None of that. It's that he just doesn't connect with people like some of the other top quarterbacks. He's not like Tom Brady doesn't drink beer, but Tom Brady's a guy that you would go out and drink a beer with. You know, he's kind of a cool guy. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are just kind of like, they're guys that you would invite on TNT to play golf because they're just kind of fun and cool. And Kirk's not like fun and cool. He's just kind of an introverted dweeb, and he's also really good at quarterback.
Right, but people don't gravitate towards Kirk.
Yeah,
which is no knock. I think the majority of people on the face of the earth don't have people gravitate towards them.
They can't all be like Judd Zolgad.
It's the odd ones
and Tom Brady.
Well, but I mean, it's the odd ones who do, right? Like it's Brady, it's Like, what's the it factor that those guys have? I can't describe it, but I can say that they have it. Kirk doesn't have that, but that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean that he isn't like. It's not like he's sulking at practice.
No, he's just kind of he's the progressive dad. He is. He's
that's very fair.
He's the guy that just kind of comments on the things that are happening around him. And anyhow. All right, Tommy Johnson via the Score North app here says, so I'm strolling through my local Hy-Vee today in Omaha, Nebraska. I always check next to the Surly Furious to see if they've had any new or different Surly brews to try, and today they did. Just so happened to be the brew that I had just heard Judd talk about for the first time, Logic Bomb. Wow, oh, yeah. Surly has done it again. Furious, definitely a fall brew, and I love it in season. However, this Logic Bomb just screams summer. I love it. Thank you for the content and the endorsements on great products. I'm also now an avid Chill Boys wearer as well. Wow, Tommy, thank you.
TJ, man, you're appreciate the best.
Judd, you want to put a bow on that Surly read by Tommy?
I don't think there's more to say. I mean, he's exactly right. As the summer of Surly approaches, and it's almost here, the Logic Bomb. I mean, first of all, to be clear, there are several great choices, so it's not just one or two. But yes, Tommy put it perfectly. The Logic Bomb screams summer, and Surly Brewing screams summertime.
All right, Declan, let's also, before we get to Jason Troutfetter's question here that I think a lot of people are wondering, Brainerd International Raceway is a pretty underrated, great spot to have a good time over the weekend.
That's right. This time next week, Brainerd International Raceway is bringing the Discovery Channel's Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings to the Brainerd Lakes area, June 17th and 18th. No prep means that it's a rough and relentless track, and there's been nothing done to this track. There is cash prizes on the line for these drivers. It's going to be a blast up in Brainerd, not too far up here from the Twin Cities. And kids get in. 12 and under get in free. There's camping information. There's ticket information, all at BIRMN.com. Check it out, Brainerd International Raceway. For tickets, visit BIRMN.com.
All right, Jason Troutfetter via the Score North app says, when are we going to have some Alex Boone episodes again? So Alex Boone update. I actually talked to him for, like 20 minutes earlier this week. So he has been all in launching this new business the last few months. And it's, it's not a secret anymore. He's got an Instagram account for it. The Brute O-Lineman Camp.
Okay.
And he's got some plans for a podcast at some point too that he's hoping to launch, but he has launched an offensive lineman camp for like college offensive linemen, some young NFL guys, and him and a couple other former NFL players are just training these dudes and getting them ready for whatever the next step is. And so that's been his whole life, and he's got a bunch of kids and stuff. But he'll absolutely be back on at some point. We'll keep you posted. I know you guys love Alex, and Alex loves football, and we'll get him on enthusiastically talking about football again, hopefully as the season gets closer. Max Scherzer via the YouTube channel. Didn't know Max was a regular listener to
He's got
Vikings
some downtime
content
right now.
Yeah.
Dog bit him.
He does. Says these carefully calculated USFL predictions from Declan are absolutely soulless. Nobody cares about that league. I'd sooner take predictions about what color socks the Vikings are going to wear. Dex, would you replace your USFL predictions with Vikings sock predictions?
Absolutely not. There's football. There's football going on. And unlike here's I'll tap you into my write that down strategy, which I am leading handsomely on the Mackey and Judd edition. I'm behind the table a little bit, but I am the defending champion of Purple Daily. Write that down. I do not like to push out predictions months and years in advance because old Dex tweets forgets about those predictions and he gets burned on them. Now I can get burned on USFL predictions, and I got burned on draft predictions. I don't think I accurately predicted one NFL draft related prediction, which has now sunk me in a hole. But you know what? I still had a little timeline of, hey, I remember I made this one. Judd is like making predictions on the 2023 season in May of 2022.
Well, what's the difference if you remember it or not, though? You make the prediction.
Yeah.
Because then you forget about it. And I like, to the spirit of the answer to his question, that's the reason I'm doing USFL predictions is because it's something that's quantifiable that can come off the board. And I don't have to worry about it haunting me down the line.
Judd, do you feel like
soulless.
Declan doing it for the good of the sport here, or is he doing it for the good of Declan's completion
for
percentage?
Declan. And it is
That's the
soulless.
latter.
I've done
It's
it
not
once.
soulless.
I've done it once. I felt bad. Soulless. Absolutely soulless.
I am, by the way, I am pro USFL predictions, so I am Team
Yeah.
Declan on this one.
I like Max.
John McMillan via Twitter says, Phil, how difficult would it be to incorporate a fan into random Viking of the week? I mean, it would be tough to trust random fans not to cheat. I would trust random fans not to cheat before I would trust you two not to cheat. But we aren't Packer fans.
That was uncalled for. Declan, and I'll defend Declan. I don't think he's ever cheated.
I agree.
I don't.
was giving you guys some crap here. So we invite fans in to write that down, into Ventline, into the comment segments. I think logistically it's just hard to plan. It's hard enough to plan our own schedule, but then to also be everyday planning around listener schedules.
Perhaps like once a month or something.
Yeah,
But
maybe
we
there's
couldn't do
a fun
it.
way to do it.
Yeah, it'd be hard to do it weekly.
Matt Dench via the Score North app says, hey guys, hope you're doing well. During the offseason, can we get a one-on-one with Doogie and Chip and ask those guys questions about their background, experience, and thoughts on the Vikings and the game in general? We see these guys weekly. on Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily, and they both offer great takes, but unless a viewer is familiar with their work, we don't really get to know them. Sometimes I forget about the fact that, we've done a radio show together for 8.5 years, and we've got these friends of ours in the industry and Star Tribune and Channel 5 and stuff that we kind of take for granted. Oh, these guys have been on our show and friends of our show for years, but we also have all these new people that have been listening since we've kind of transitioned to podcast and YouTube. A lot of people have discovered us within the last 3 months or 6 months, and we probably should do a better job of explaining who are these guys. So, Judd, why don't you explain who Chip is to the uninitiated, and like why are these guys talking Viking? Why is it called Purple Access, right? Like, well, you guys used to work together on the Vikings beat during the Brett Favre era.
Yeah, from 2008 through 2010, I think Chip and I were partners on the Vikings beat and did a frequent, what's the correct term? Vikings video show.
Vlog.
A vlog? Okay.
I believe it was a vlog.
Access
Vlog,
Vikings. Yes. But Chip arrived here from, I think he had been working in Chicago, but he obviously is from, with the accent, Tennessee. He arrived here around 2000, started off doing high schools at the Star Tribune, ascended to Gopher football, where he covered the team during the Mason years, and then joined me when Seifert left for ESPN in like 2008. He joined me on the Vikings beat for a few years before he was named a columnist and a feature writer as well. So yeah, I mean, Chip has certainly been around football now for a long time, but that is why, and he continues obviously to write columns on the Vikings. That is why he has so much credibility on the Vikings.
Yeah, he's just an all-time great human being as well. So Doogie started interning at KFan in the 90s as literally as a 15 or 16-year-old.
Yep.
And that's why his nickname is Doogie, from the Doogie Howser TV show that was popular at the time. And so he's a longtime radio producer. He used to produce for Chad Hartman on KFan for, 8-10 years. Him and I got to know each other because I was at the Fan from 2005 to 2010. And so he went to Channel 5 like 12 years ago. And he's been just kind of an insider for local sports coverage and knowledge. And he does a great job breaking local sports news and coming up with local sports nuggets. And he's been one of my best friends behind the scenes too for 15 years or so. And he's just a great friend of our show. And he's in the same building as the Score North headquarters too, because the KSTP Channel 5 Eyewitness News studio is just a floor below where Declan is right now. So anyways, yeah, that's, if you guys have questions like that, sometimes we just forget, like, oh yeah, these guys have been on our shows for a long time, and maybe we need to do a better job of explaining some of these things. So thanks for the question, Matt Dench. Appreciate it. And anytime you guys want to hit us up, just the Score North app is wide open. We're also going through our Purple Daily getaway to Miami all month. All you have to do for your chance to win a trip for two to see Minnesota Miami in week 6, and we'll cover the tickets and the travel. Open the Score North app, register, and enter through listener rewards. We will pick a winner at the end of the month. And we appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us here on this Purple Daily Reads the Comments edition of Daily Vikings Entertainment. See you.